You can ingest their medications or you can invest in your own meditation. Today, I'm going to educate you on the importance of a holistic, healthy approach to self-care and treating depression and mental illness, rather than the pharmaceutical approach. Pharmaceutical companies are killing you, not curing you, and they are profiting greatly on your death. David Healy describes Prozac, an antidepressant, as one of the growing number of agents that modulate lifestyles rather than cure diseases, whilst arguing that antidepressant medications are often prescribed in response to social needs rather than psychiatric. A lot of these prescription medications are debilitating, cause increased fatigue, and discourage the physical activity and stimulation actually needed to combat feelings of sadness or apathy. I recall my battle with depression beginning very early in life. Depression masked itself as daydreams and uneasy feelings of being different and unable to translate what was going on in my own mind. Imagine you are filled with aspiration in life. You have the quintessential go-getter mentality. Anything you wish to achieve is within reach. And if you haven't yet mastered a skill, you will train to acquire mastery level status. You intend on being physically active, maintaining a balanced and nutritious diet, getting good grades, exhibiting good habits to ensure that you are well liked by family and peers. You are an overall well-rounded person when you're on a high. But then one morning you wake up for the day, or rather one evening on your drive home from the grocery store, there's this condescending, repetitive voice in your head, insisting that the life you desire is so far out of reach that really, what is the point of even trying? You just look silly, stupid, or unprofessional. No one cares what you think or how you feel. You may as well stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to, as the great TLC said. This feeling may last the day and perhaps well into the next few days. The reality is that the feeling could last for months, and that is the low. All the while, feeling hopeless, you maintain this front that everything is okay, so that those you are unable to completely isolate in this time don't ask the haunting question, what's wrong? In the midst of a depressive episode, that single question can spiral someone so deep into the darkest part of the low point that when they finally arrive at the bottom of the question, they're faced with a brick wall of uncertainty. Depression is defined by the National Institute of Mental Health as a common but serious mood disorder. It causes severe symptoms that affect the way you feel, think, and handle daily activities, such as sleeping, eating, or working. To be diagnosed with depression, the symptoms must present for at least 2 weeks. And what stood out to me about that definition is that there is not an explanation of why it is happening. So how are you supposed to explain this feeling to someone else? Imagine someone finally does ask, your mother, your best friend, maybe the hairdresser who you've established enough of a relationship with for them to recognize your behavior is off. You break down. You let them know you are not okay, and you have not been okay for some time. Concerned, they suggest a psychiatrist because maybe medication will help. At this point, you'll try anything. You just want your enthusiasm back for life. So you follow up with a psychiatrist. They interview you for your explanation of this feeling for the last month, and that lasts about 10 minutes. They write you a prescription for something that should work, and they send you on your way. Eager to get back on track, you take your medication for a week. You're hopeful, but there's no change. The next week, you do notice some subtle changes. You slept a little bit longer or eaten a little bit more than usual, but you're still unable to take control of your life. By week 3, you notice where in your mind uncertainty once dwelled and sadness, is now occupied by apathy. The areas where you once feared falling short no longer stress you or even strike concern. Life becomes a settled pattern of routine and contention rather than fulfillment and success. Their medicines have not cured you, they have numbed you. They have numbed you to access to the parts of your mind and your soul that make you you. What if instead of doctors prescribing pharmaceutical medication, they prescribed a little self-initiated tender love and care, or self-care? Patients seeking help should first be urged to focus on their health and nutrition, then encouraged to partake in daily physical activity, preferably with exposure to a vibrant environment, and finally, explore activities that bring them peace, joy, and clarity. So, how do we begin to heal? Well, the foods we consume not only affect us physically, but chemically and hormonally. As well, depression affects the way your body regulates the food you consume. Low levels of dietary N3 polysaturated fatty acids are linked to depression and anxiety, meaning some of the foods we consume literally make us depressed. Molecular psychiatry conducted research stating depression, stress, and diet can alter inflammation, studying the impact on major depressive disorders and inflammatory responses to meals containing high fat levels. Depression affects the way the body responds to food and promotes inflammation, which causes weight gain, contributing to a toxic cycle. Unhealthy, depression. Depression, unhealthy. So let's get physical. Even mild physical activity could reduce the risk of becoming depressed as well as combat depressive symptoms during an episode. Studies prove that individuals who are physically active are more likely to combat symptoms of depression and less likely to become depressed at all. According to Frontiers in Physiology, a life science journal, studies show that physical activity served as an antidepressant in adolescents. The key was that the adolescent participants had to complete the moderate, vigorous activity. Prevalence of antidepressant properties are experienced upon completion. The Brazilian National Health Survey conducted observed that within a wide range of males of different socioeconomic status, race, varying from 18 to 60 years of age, were more likely to be depressed upon the unsuccessful completion of 150 minutes per week of moderate physical activity, in accordance with the international recommendations. Those compared to males who did complete the recommended amount of exercise and reported no feelings of depression. Once we have managed to regulate our diet and exercise, it is vital to establish what makes a healthy mind. And for me, that's happiness. Self-care is the third and final and potentially the most important step in kicking depression. Psych Central defines self-care as any physical activity we do deliberately in order to take care of our mental, emotional, and physical health. In order to be true self-care, you must not only desire to partake in the activity, but intentionally continue the activity until completion. Your self-care should be self-actualized and not prescribed, but it may be recommended by a friend. Self-care does not look the same for everyone. Trial and error is very important. You may think an activity will make you happy because others seem to enjoy themselves when doing it, and it may not. Adversely, you may want to give something you've never considered a try. The point of self-care is that it is stimulating for you mentally and emotionally, and fulfilling, whether you accomplish it in minutes, hours, or days. I would recommend an activity that occupies at least 30 minutes, so that you really have given yourself time to interpret how this activity makes you feel both during and after. In conclusion, I have broken down to you the way Big Pharma would like you to cure the epidemic of depression versus a natural, more effective, self-treated ways to manage depression and other chronic mental illness. Antidepressants are debilitating and ignore the issue of depression rather than cure it. I was so unhappy up on that pedestal, striving for everyone else's version of my success. It was not until I humbled myself, connected with my truths, that I was able to relinquish uncertainty, and that I harnessed my passion and my power to make myself happy. Thank you.